Welcome to another episode of More Context. And the only reason that I'm wearing all of this Phillies gear is because we're talking about the city of Philadelphia and their sports teams. So today, the mayor of Philadelphia, Cherelle Parker, announced her support of the 76th place at Marcus East, the plan that the 76ers have been pushing for a really long time, that they've been lobbying for, that they've spent millions of dollars lobbying for, to build an arena in Center City, Philadelphia, a few steps away from City Hall, connected to all the public transport, and just in a economical neighborhood of Philadelphia that could use some rejuvenation, in their opinion. So let's get into it. We're going to look at a feasibility study economically, we're going to look at a community impact study, and we're going to look at a transportation study. Two of these studies are written by offices within the city of Philadelphia itself and their offices, and one of them, the economical study, was commissioned through an outside firm. We're also going to talk about the background behind it, why there have been protests, why some people are upset by this decision, and I just want to provide everybody enough information so that they can make an informed decision and just learn about something cool. And if you're not from the city of Philadelphia, I still implore you to watch this video for the sole purpose that we're going to have these conversations about every downtown arena that's going to be built in the future, because it will run into the same issues and it will have the same opportunities to do something great. So let's get into it. This project, as Mayor Parker said, is a historical agreement and one of the largest private investment commitments financially for a sports-related reason in Philadelphia's history. $1.3 billion in private funding has been promised, on top of, as I said, the millions of dollars that have already been spent on lobbying people to make this happen. Once again, 2031 is the target date for the completion of construction, so that when the lease expires at Wells Fargo Arena, which is currently in South Philly, the Sixers can just move right into their new home in downtown Philly. But is it a good idea? And one of the biggest reasons for protests, and Mayor Parker mentioned it in her video today, is Chinatown. Because this arena is located very close to Chinatown and that neighborhood, and a lot of people within that neighborhood, within the cultural community, have been afraid and scared as to what the new arena will do to their businesses and their livelihoods. So we will get into that. It is a very touchy subject. Mayor Parker said that she's committed to keeping Chinatown a vibrant and rich cultural community, but, she has to say that. Like, as a politician, you have to say that. So we'll get into if it's actually possible, or if this is going to be another community that is gentrified because of a arena. So first up is the community impact study itself, which was written by the Philadelphia City Planning Commission. It targeted the Chinatown and Marcus East neighborhoods. Now, for people that have only visited Philadelphia a couple times, like I said, this is close to City Hall, a block away from Reading Terminal Market, and it is in one of the busiest areas of Philadelphia when it comes to foot traffic, tourists, people staying there. The convention center is nearby. A lot of events happen there. So it is in a busy area of Philadelphia already, which is why we'll get into why that can cause problems in a second. But the Marcus East neighborhood will mostly see positive benefits from the study, according to the people that wrote it, because it can be rejuvenated, in their opinion, if they can meet the transportation and safety challenges that come with building an arena there, which is obvious. Now, for transportation, we will go fully in-depth into it later, but it is located well because it's between a couple of regional rail stations, as well as Philadelphia City Hall, which connects it to the Broad Street line and the Market Frankford line. So it is very helpful in that regard. But transportation and safety challenges are still going to happen, and they're going to have to meet them. Chinatown, on the other hand, is not so positive. The study says that Chinatown would suffer an indirect displacement of small businesses and lower-income individuals, and it could suffer a loss of its identity and culture, which is exactly why people are protesting, which is why people protested today, right? And as someone that lived in Philly for 4 years, Chinatown was one of the neighborhoods that I frequented the most. The food is amazing. The people are amazing. It's just a vibe in the simplest terms. So I understand the concern for the people that live there and work there and run businesses there and have devoted their lives to running businesses there. This must be terrifying, because the study finds that only 1 out of 5 small businesses will see a benefit from this in Chinatown. And those are the businesses that serve food and stuff, because if someone's coming in to watch a game, they're probably going to stay one night, at least if they're flying to Philadelphia, paying for their ticket, and all of that. They're probably going to stay for one night and walk around. And since Chinatown is close to the arena, maybe they stop by there to get something to eat. But all of the other businesses, all the other little stores and stuff, 80% of them are not expected to see a benefit. 80% of small businesses in a neighborhood. That is a large amount. That is not good. On top of that, frankly, they said 50% of businesses will not see a benefit from this. So you're saying that only 20% will see a benefit, 50% won't. That leaves the other 30% up in the air. Maybe on a couple days it'll be good, couple days it'll be bad. But long term, you expect 50% of small businesses in one of your biggest neighborhoods to suffer because of this arena. And that is a moral question that people have to grapple with. The Philadelphia City Council has to vote on this to pass it. That's something that they're going to have to deal with. I'm sure the people that are in support of Chinatown are going to be very vocal in their opposition to this arena. And I want the people that are happy about this, that are like, oh, yay, at least we're not going to Jersey. But stop taking shots at New Jersey. It's the best state we have. God damn it. But, for those people, they should have the additional context, or the more context, that's the name of the show, to, understand what's exactly happening and what's at stake and why someone might be against what they think is a good idea. Because the arena itself on face value looks cool as hell. The plans that they have for it, the retail, connecting it to Jefferson's regional rail station and things like that, it is a phenomenal idea. However, because it's a big city, it's an old city, there's neighborhoods that have already been cultivated, there are people that will be upset and frankly have every right in the world to be upset about this. Moving on to the economical impact. And this is where things get interesting. Because on this channel, we have done a video talking about how taxpayers get roped into paying for stadiums because, look at the job impact. And then those jobs are not actually well-paying jobs. They're not actually good jobs that most people want to do. They're jobs working in concessions on the few nights a year where that arena is active. Now, this is different because it's a basketball and hockey arena, I believe. I have not seen anything officially if the Flyers will also be playing here or if they'll be at Wells Fargo. But considering that the economical study was running a simulation and scenarios with two active arenas, or two active multi-sport arenas, I believe that the plan might be for the Flyers to play at Wells Fargo. But I am not entirely sure, and I don't want to make that statement without having the proper information. But these arenas, take MetLife Stadium, for example, it's two teams play there, so you get, 8 to 9 home games per team. So that's 17 home games a year. And then maybe you have 5 to 10 concerts. At most, you're hosting 28 to 30 events in 365 days at MetLife Stadium when it cost you $4 billion to build. And now this is a stadium that was made mostly with the owner's money and not public money. But a lot of stadiums are built with public money. Now, this stadium is built with private money, which is a good thing. If the city of Philadelphia was paying money for this, it would be an entirely separate discussion and issue. In my opinion of it would be entirely different. But this study is based off them hosting multiple games, multiple events, multiple concerts, on all of that. So we have to take it with a grain of salt, because we also don't know which angle they were asked to write the study with, because as we've seen with the Olympics and other sporting events, there's a lot of corruption and back-channeling involved with these studies to get it to say what some people want it to say. However, with that caveat, this arena is expected to generate $1.9 billion in net present value spending, in private spending. It's expected to create 710 jobs, and it's expected to create $390 million in tax revenue for the city of Philadelphia. However, this is the time span for this is from the start of construction to 30 years of use for the arena. That is a very, very long amount of time. And those 710 jobs, we don't know if that's if that's just concession jobs, if that's just a janitorial and concession jobs. We don't know what these jobs are. It just looks good when you write a study, and then, the mayor can go up and say, and the Sixers can go up and say, oh, we're going to create this many jobs, that's why you should be happy, and the council should vote for this, right? But, as we've seen with other stadiums, as we've seen in other cities, this is very rarely the case where an arena turns out to be private, it turns out to be beneficial for the city. Now, once again, a lot of arenas are built with public money. This is not one of those arenas. So that is a very strong point in favor of building this arena. Like, for example, Camden, which is in the talks of becoming the place where they built their new arena, the state of New Jersey wanted to give $400 million in public money to help build that, to entice them to come here. So that's a good thing for Philly, that they don't have to do that it's being built with private money. However, what we don't know is the changes that need to be made to SEPTA and public transportation, some improvements that need to be made. Are those going to be private money as well, or is that going to be the city of Philadelphia? It's all very convoluted at times, and, it kind of ruins the sanctity of sports. But we have to talk about it. Moving on to something a little bit more fun and less depressing than, thinking about Chinatown getting destroyed. Transportation. Now, this study was written by the Office of Transportation and Infrastructure Systems. They worked with the basis of a 40% goal of where 40% of the guests that come into your arena use public transport to get there. To get there, they said that it needs a lot more planning and focus, as I mentioned earlier, on safety, on some infrastructure that needs to be built, and quite frankly, just enticing people to not take their cars. Because the United States of America, as we talked about in my last video on infrastructure, is a very car culture focused country. And it has to be slowly changed, and it's not going to change. When people go to games, most people take their cars. And especially so in Philly, where, there's 3 arenas in one place, so there's parking lots galore, right? So now you kind of have to change the psyche of people. So you need to entice them to do that. And the study actually had some really good ideas, so I'm going to share them. One of them was to not offer free or discounted parking for people that buy a ticket to the game, which makes sense because, you don't really want to build parking lots if you're the Sixers. You just want to spend your money on that arena. There's existing parking lots that will, help the economy's money going back to other businesses, which should be used. On top of that, also having large-scale bike parking and bike resources available, in partnership with companies like Indigo, which are already very dominant in the city of Philadelphia. Shout out to my boy Parrish. But, working with them to make sure that there's a lot of bike parking available, there's good locks or like an added level of security, someone's riding their own bike to the stadium, anything like that to incentivize that. And the best idea by far is that your SEPTA or PATCO ticket is included in the price of admission for going to the game, going to the concert, whatever. So people, instead of paying for gas, driving, paying for parking, wasting time that way, they can just ride SEPTA or PATCO, get off, go into the stadium, and leave. This is something, quite frankly, that Madison Square Garden should be doing for NJ Transit and MTA tickets as well. But I think this is a really smart idea, considering that if you're coming in from the regional rail or anything like that, Jefferson Station is going to be connected to the arena complex. And like I said, City Hall, where the Market Frankford line and the Broad Street line run and intersect with each other, is only a couple steps away. So making SEPTA tickets free or basically the Sixers paying for your SEPTA ticket when you pay for your ticket, that makes sense. On top of that, more parking lots equals more drivers, so just limit the number of new parking lots that are built for this project, as I just mentioned. Encourage non-car trips so that you reduce the demand for parking, so there's not all angry people, not finding parking spots and parking violations occurring. And then, on top of that, for Uber and Lyft, which we all agree is a really prominent and honestly quite useful feature, especially for those who want to go to the game and, get hammered, Sixers second round exit again, people are going to be drunk and unhappy. Designated pickup and drop-off areas with security there to make sure that, nothing goes wrong. Obviously, that's also another really great idea. And then, in my opinion, and the study says this as well, if you want to build an arena in a downtown city, and why I said to you that this is going to be a discussion that happens whenever a new arena is built downtown, whether it be football, basketball, hockey, baseball, it's that you need to discourage drivers, because if you have a lot of drivers around City Hall, now Philadelphia City Hall is massive, you kind of have to drive around it to get from a point A to a point B. It can be congested during rush hour on like a normal Wednesday. I cannot imagine if it's a normal Wednesday rush hour from people leaving work and you have a Sixers Celtics game on top of that. Like, that can be an absolute shit show if you do not handle this correctly in the next 6 years, if this arena passes the council and actually becomes a probability, which it is looking more likely to do so by the minute. You have to make sure, in my mind, that less than 25% of the people showing up to your stadium drive. Because then, if you say that you are expecting 20,000 people, and I'm just using a baseline phone number, so it's easy to do math in my head. If 20,000 people show up, if 2,000, 2,500 of them are, even 5,000 of them are driving, you can handle that if you're the city of Philadelphia. You can handle 5,000 drivers for that. There's enough parking, they can figure it out. If that number goes above 5,000 or the 25% threshold, you're fucked. Because there's no way that everybody will find parking spots in time. It's going to be extremely backlogged because the streets of Philadelphia are already narrow as it is, especially diverging from City Hall. And there's going to be so many people out and walking about. There's so many little bars here and there. Like, it will be a very chaotic situation if the infrastructure part of this is not dealt with correctly. Which is why I think something like offering a free SEPTA ticket, free PATCO ticket with your ticket solves a lot of problems and makes everybody's lives better and makes this a smart idea because it incentivizes public transport, which in turn helps the city run more efficiently. Now, to end this video, I'm just going to offer my thoughts on this entire thing. Personally, I think that the arena should have been kept in its original location, where it is right now, Wells Fargo Center to be specific, because Philadelphia is the only major city that I've been to where hockey, basketball, baseball, and football all play in the same spot. Then you got the casino and Xfinity Live right there. So it just makes it such a fun experience, and it's part of what makes like hanging out with Philly sports fans and going to a Philly sports event more fun, even for concerts and stuff. Taylor Swift was performing at Lincoln Financial Field, and the people that didn't want to spend $5,000 to get into the stadium were out there on like the one major street just hanging out, listening to the concert, and people were partying out there. So it creates that environment that will be gone if one of these teams or two of these teams leave, which kind of sucks. So I think that the arena should be built there. Public transport to get there is really good. They have the infrastructure for parking already. It limits the construction, and it also obviously does not negatively impact neighborhoods like Chinatown. However, if this is what the Sixers clearly want to do, we can't live in a utopia. We gotta go with that. So I think that this is a good idea, but only if you incentivize public transport and, like I said, have 75% of your guests, of your attendees, use public transport, biking, Ubers and Lyfts, something other than their own car to get there. Because Ubers and Lyfts are still fine because those cars leave and those drivers know what they're doing. So that's different than someone bringing their own car, because parking is a huge issue already in any downtown area of any big city. And then on top of that, you just add on the confluence of factors in a very busy city. And lastly, for Chinatown, the city has to either, help them expand in another direction to limit the loss of business from having a major arena right there, or they have to provide something else to incentivize them and to help them in this time, because otherwise you're kind of ruining a major ethnic neighborhood in your city. You're gentrifying them, and that sucks. I don't think anybody wants that to happen. I don't think the Sixers want it to happen. Their motives are, money. But yeah, that is the most important thing in my opinion to this arena's construction. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you stayed till the end, please subscribe. Peace.